So Drake's newest album, For All the Dogs, is a mess, but I think it's intentional. So join me and let's discuss Drake's mental health on his latest album, For All the Dogs. As always, I'm a new channel, so tap in, like, subscribe, comment below what you think. Let's get into it.
I know what you say. Say I could have treated you better or whatever, but I don't know.
So for the past few weeks, I have listened aggressively to For All the Dogs. My initial response was probably the same as everybody else's. It's okay, there's a few good ones, but this isn't the Drake I expected. Drake was promoting this album like it was going to bring back the old Drake. We were going to get the Drake that we have been begging for, the one that was a dominating force in our lives and our emotional standpoints so long ago throughout all these years. And we didn't get it. That's not the Drake we got. But good, that's the point. I mean, Drake's place in hip hop alone has always been a pretty controversial one, from starting on Degrassi to being signed by Lil Wayne, to being one of the most pivotal and well-known artists in a generation, especially with the countless amount of memes. There's just an endless file of memes about Drake and the constant controversy surrounding him interpolating previous artists that came before him in order to pay homage to them. It sparks a lot of flames, that in and of itself. Even now, thanks to Mos Def, we have this ongoing debate about whether or not Drake is even hip hop or not, or if he's just a pop artist, and he always has been.
Like, is Drake hip hop?
Why are you doing this to me? Drake is pop to me. In the sense, like, if I was in Target in Houston and I heard a Drake song, it feels like a lot of his music is compatible with shopping.
This brought me back to For All the Dogs. This is a sloppy image of an artist that we portrayed as perfection, and we demanded perfection from him, and that's not what we get in this album. We don't get that at all. This album is heartbreak and man personified. You miss the old Drake? Well, good, so does he, and the story unravels as we get into this album. He speaks and alludes to the fact that there are pieces of him missing. He can't go back to that old Drake. He can't find his way back to the old Drake, and we get to follow him through this story, this segment, this segue into his life of what it currently is, and how he has managed to find his way back to being better artist than what he was before. And he uses heartbreak to encapsulate all of this. And so then we dive into this album and we begin the sloppy self-recovery journey that we all have to go through. There's the return of old friends, the return of old flings, the return to his dogs. Because where can he find himself if not in his past? This album is a roller coaster of emotions. It's not just Drake is this, so Drake is that. We have moments like all the parties where Drake laments on the fact that the past lover he has exchanged so much with now is just a disappointment. Always at the parties, at every party. So surprisingly, she's everywhere. She's at every event, and it hurts. It hurts Drake. It's not just seemingly simple as, oh yeah, she's here. She's here, and you were never like this. You've never been like this for me. When did you become like this? And I guess this was the influence that I had, because when I wanted to drag you to these parties, you never really wanted to come. And now that we're not together, here you are, always at every party. You're at all the parties. Now, don't get me wrong, I can't justify the lyrics in some places because there are some uniquely bad pieces on this album, like the song with Bad Bunny that we just don't need to mention because the Spanish on there was, yeah. After further thought through this album, though, I think that this is one of the most open invitations we are being given of Drake's life, and one of the most open invitations we've been given in some years. It's been a long time since we got such a vulnerable, open, and destitute version of Drake. Drake sounds hurt. He sounds sad. He sounds burdened. by the heartbreak of his past. He sounds like an older guy with younger friends because he is. He's giving us who he is. For once, he is not being the portrait of Drake that we have all painted. He is just being himself. He's being Aubrey. And with that, we have to look at it with a different lens, because this is what it looks like for a lot of men to go through heartbreak. Modern dating is pulling strings at people we meet on the internet and hoping that it works out. It's a man being open about the feelings that he is feeling, but not having the emotional intelligence in order to stop the things that are going to happen from happening. It's a up and down. It is a mystifying experience that no one really covers in depth. This album gives us all of it. This album shows us exactly all of the things that we are always constantly going through in dating in modern society. We are even introduced to this album as all the dogs, all of the boys who have been in a situation that has hurt them to the point of not understanding that there is a better way than just becoming a dog. But Drake is poignant enough to let you follow him in becoming just that, becoming a dog. Instead of being the lover boy that we expect Drake to be, he is exposing why that lover boy has turned into such a dog. And this isn't a nuanced state of being. This is a constant thing that you can see in a lot of men in this common era of dating. We get to the opening track, the biggest moment on the opening track. The one thing that resonates throughout this song is one of the most heartfelt, but also discerning things that you have to look at with two types of lenses. Acted like I could have treated you better, but no, not at all. Drake exclaims. He yells on the track, and you can feel his hurt, you can feel his pain, you can feel that in these moments, in this moment on this track, this hurt. It hurt to be this vulnerable. It hurt to have seen himself give as much of himself as he could and it not be enough. It not be like what this person was looking for. This intro piece explains everything that we need to know. Our texts are looking like a fencing match. We've decided that we are touch and go at this point. We are fighting constantly. I am trying my best. I'm giving you everything that I can. And for Drake, that comes in the realm of material comfort. It comes in the realm of, I'm giving you these gifts. I'm giving you these things that you've been asking me for. I'm giving you these things that you need. And it's not enough. You told me that I could have treated you better, but no, not at all. This is a place that so many men find themselves in. It's linked to not only just the fact that society raises you up to be the breadwinner, to be the number one household stake, but it also is rooted in the fact that men don't know what to do if they're not the breadwinner. If a woman needs more than just the things that come from them, the things that are monetary in value, then for a man, because a lot of emotional maturity is not taught to us, to men, Drake is in the situation that a lot of men find themselves in. He thinks that he's doing all that he can. And because I don't know his relationship, he very well may be doing all that he can emotionally and financially. But I think that the lyrics that he leaves us with show us a story of the separation between men understanding that that being the monetary holder isn't enough, and the separation between men understanding that vocalizing their emotions is more than we give it credit for. As we move through the track list, we arrive at A Man. We have Tizo giving us a great performance. Everybody loves this track. But the focal point that I have on this track is that Drake allows a friend to say something that at this moment, in this place of hurt, he can't. I'm praying that you find a man that's going to treat you like I treat you, that's going to treat you like I can. And it says a lot about the fact that Drake has someone else say these words, while inside of the verse itself, he never mentions it. He speaks about a lot of things from that place, that same place of hurt that we start in. He speaks about, I can't be everything. I can't do everything. I can't give you all of this money. I've bought everything. I've paid for this, for this, for this. I've given money where I needed to for this. I knew you needed these things done, so I got these things done for you. I can't be everything though. And this is where you see that there's a little bit of a flaw in Drake's logic, and I think that he like notices it even himself. He states all of these things, and inside of that verse he vaguely mentions that, well, I'm hoping that the girls on tour don't know that there's another girl, and she's hoping that there's not another girl. We start to notice something. Okay, well, it seems that Drake is at fault in some point of this relationship. We don't know how much of fault he's at, but it's there. That is the point. That is the space in which we aren't paying attention to. That is the space in which he isn't paying attention to. That somewhere in that relationship, there was fault on his side. Drake firmly believes he's done everything he can, but there is a moment where we realize that maybe Drake didn't do everything he could. A lot of times after a breakup, you come to this moment where you start to, in anger, but also in a little bit of sadness, reflect on the moment you met, the moments that went by as you met, the moments that got you to the place that you're at now, alone. And calling for you, this is what Drake does. Drake is, and I'm giving Drake the benefit of the doubt that the situation that he's describing in this song isn't just about him dating a 21-year-old. That is pretty, don't do that, Drake. Don't do that if you're in your 30s. How about that? But calling for you is a really good description of what it's like to think back to the moments that we had originally. Like in this space, in this span of time, I was just in the club. I was with my friends. I tested women left and right just to see, like, oh yeah, she's not gonna stay long because my boy can get at her. She won't stay long either because my boy can get at her. But this one don't. She just keep passing the test, and I don't know what to do about that. So maybe I hold on to this one. The back half of the song is reflective of the state of mind that Drake was in at the point in time when they met. Drake is battling it out with left and right with different artists, his ops. He's in a place of just trying to make sure the people that are coming around him are coming around him for him and not coming around here to be deceptive, to help those ops, to help those other artists find more information about Drake. And from the back half of Calling for You, we get more of Drake's anger around his life in general, around the ops, but around something more specific as we go into this next song. We get into the next song, and it seems that even in this new relationship, Drake is having to deal with the idea that so many people think that every song that he makes about love or missing someone is always just about his ex, quite specifically Rihanna. And so he makes a point to, in his frustration, in his anger, be petty, diss both Rihanna, diss A$AP Rocky, take the time to say, this is not what this is about. If you take this album and you proceed through this thinking that this is what this is about, this is who this is about, you have missed the point entirely. I have moved on. I have been past that. I am trying to find something new, and I keep running into this issue, so I'm going to speak on it. And he makes a point to speak on it. And so that's how we get that point that we get. From there, we move into a large realm of spaces. Very much so, this is Drake playing the back burner. This is Drake kind of just in the cut with his boys. This is Drake out there with the dogs. He's just hanging. He's enjoying the moments with his dogs. This is the return of the old friends and some of the new friends moments. So we have this moment with J. Cole where a lot of people have been anticipating the next time that Cole and Drake hopped on a track together, there would be so much more than what we were given in this track. What we got was an example of J. Cole's extremely newfound ability. We're shown that at this point in time, Cole is hungrier than Drake. Drake is trying so hard to figure out who he is after the end of this relationship. He's dealing with the frustrations. He's dealing with the sadness that we get an outpaced by Cole Drake, and I don't think that's unintentional. I think we all know that Drake has the ability to rap well. He has proven his pen time and time again. In this moment, though, we get a boastful nature. We Drake allows himself to bring that anger, that frustration, full frontal as he remarks about his ops. He's like, we're big as the what? Big as the what? Big as the what? Big as the Super Bowl, but big as the Super Bowl. We don't like. We're not you guys. We did everything that you thought we weren't gonna do and more. We aren't who you said we were. We are better. And so because of that, this is why we have this song. This is why we have these accolades. This is why I'm telling you, I can slide on anybody I want to slide on. And anybody that has a problem with it will just have to deal with it. We move from that to the song with Yeet, from the song with Yeet into 7969 Santa. These are all this is a braggadocious point of Drake's life. I be counting money for fun. 7969. I'm gonna slide on whoever I want. I can fuck whoever I want. I can do whatever I want. After all, I am Drake. But a lot of it is sorting through, what does it mean to be Drake? Who is Drake? What does it mean for me to be Drake? When people ask me for the old Drake, who are they asking for? Are they asking me for this? And we move into Slime You Out. We get a moment with SZA, an old fling. Where it not only is this reflective of a lot of dudes' reactions, is immediately to just go to that ex, go to the ex, go to the old fling, go to the old situation where things were more comfortable, where she knew what you liked and you knew what she liked, and it wasn't a lot of commitment, but you knew that she would hold you down and she would be able to be someone to talk about. It's a moment where like you very much see that Drake is turning SZA into a therapist. He gets into the end of this song and goes on the list about January and February, remarking each month as what it was. But he's turning SZA into a therapist, which she is there for that moment. She's there to allow him to become that. And I think from this moment, we get into the half where Drake allows himself to sit in his sadness. He allows himself to just feel his feeling. So we get moments like Bahama Promise, where Drake just simply states that there's so many places that I've been with you that I want to go alone because I want to know what it's like to not have to argue, to not have to deal the situations I dealt with while with you. We get moments like Tried Our Best, where Drake is allowing himself to just be sad. The Screw the World intro, which for me, as a guy from Texas, it reminds me of the moments in which the next step for a lot of guys is to lean into something that they can abuse, a substance, a way to remove themselves from this situation, a way to remove themselves from what it is that's happening here in this moment. A way to get away from these feelings, a way to not feel this as much. We continue through this album and we get to the point where Drake just wants to feel like himself again. He discusses openly the events that took place in this relationship. He's discussing the things that he should have changed. He knew he should have changed. And the signs that showed him that he probably should have left this relationship earlier on. From there, we get all the parties where Drake is kind of just disappointed at this point that he's seeing this person for who they truly are now. He's seeing her for exactly who she is now. She's at all the parties. This is honestly what she wanted to do. You don't need to social climb, as he states in the beginning of the album, but you are. This is where you are now. This is where I find you. you're at all the parties. I don't know. It seems to like make a stance in Drake's heart of understanding that this is probably what this relationship always was. We move into a place where I believe this is around where Drake starts to come back into his rhythm. He's like, if this is the case, if this is what this relationship always was, um, I've learned my lessons, but I need to come back into myself. And I think this is the moment where Drake is allowed to come back into himself. We get 8 a.m. in Charlotte, and this is how the album was announced. This is how we learned that For All the Dogs, this is the first single, For All the Dogs, 8 a.m. in Charlotte.
Nah, I'm moving different right now, for real. Like, I feel like if Mike switched out the glove for the pen.
At the time of its release, we're looking at this and we're going, absolutely, we are getting old Drake. We're getting the Drake we've been asking for. We're getting the bars Drake. We're getting the Don Drake. We're getting Drake in his truest, most comfortable self. Little did we know, this is at the back half of the journey. Drake knew that by putting this out, he would build up expectations even more highly than he already had. He knew that by putting this song out first, he would make it so that people would be like, well, now I know exactly what to expect from this album. You were wrong. All of us were wrong. We thought something totally different was coming. I'm skipping over BBL interlude. It's not, no. As the album continues, we get into moments where Drake just allows himself to just be more free. He allows himself to release that hurt, release that anger, and just have fun. So we have moments like Rich Baby Daddy, the best song on the album. I've been saying it since it came out. It is the best song on the album, or at least top 2, but I don't think it's 2. We have moments like Rich Baby Daddy where SZA and Sexy Red come out, and it's just a shake some ass for Drake. Yeah, shake some ass for me. And just have fun, let loose. Please come hang out with our boy. He's been out of it for a while, but he needs to just have fun. He needs to let loose. And Drake intros this by letting you know I still got some love deep inside of me. Please take it out of me. Like, please. Because Drake is coming back into himself. He's remembering who he is, and that is a lover boy. He is allowing himself to get in that pocket, allowing himself to be like, I still have love in me. I still want to be this guy. I still want to like live in these moments. So please take it out of me. Please just like let it happen. Because why not? Drake finds it in himself to finish this album out with pieces of him that we were looking for throughout the album, but never really got. He gives us what we deem as the old Drake, what we were looking for this whole album to be. After his moments that are fun with his friends, he's just kind of, I think that's the only way to excuse the Bad Bunny song. I think that's the only way, is that he was just having fun with a friend. We get the Sexy Red and SZA song. We get the Yachty song, and we move into Away From Home. And in Away From Home, Drake sits us down and talks about all of the things that he remembers. He focuses us in on his past, and he's like, I remember all these things. I didn't forget these things. And I need to remember them in order to remember who I am and how to be me. This is how Drake figures out how to be the old Drake. This is how Drake becomes the old Drake and the new Drake, and decidedly creates something new. The last song on the album is Polar Opposites, and I think that there's something that my therapist will talk about often, and it's just kind of like polarizing two opposing parts within yourself. Could be riffing off of this and reaching, but I believe that the end of this album is the polar opposites of who Drake was being and who Drake is, and trying to consolidate the two into one. Not just being Drake, the rich superstar, but also being Aubrey, the emotional lover boy that is really attached to wanting to find a love that makes sense for him. With all of that being said, Drake's For All the Dogs, whether you believe it or not, is really, really good depiction, in my opinion, of what it is like to be a man and date in this common era. But it's also one of Drake's most vulnerable moments that he's given us in a while. Because of this, I put this album very highly. I rate it at a high point because what Drake does here is something that we haven't received from him in such a long time. Um, and I don't honestly think ever, as far as the story is concerned. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you guys next week.